back in Sweet 16 history. Texas Tech now facing the team who a lot of people have cutting down the nets in San Antonio. According to Ken Pom, this is a matchup between two of the top 5 teams in offensive efficiency. Welcome to a fresh hour of CBS Sports HQ. Hakeem Dermish here, back with the big men, Hunter Dickinson, Tim Doyle, Adam Finkelstein, here to set the stage. A spot in the Final Four on the line in San Francisco. Gators looking to get to the Final Four for the first time since 2014. Hunter, we have salivated over this Gators team. What makes them so good?
Obviously, it starts at the top, with their first-team All-American, Walter Clayton. He's a first-team All-American, one of the best guards in the country, and will be a great pro. But they're so deep when it comes to, their guards, their bigs. They have 3 guards averaging 45 points combined, all shooting above 35% from 3. They're just a really dangerous team that can beat you in a multitude of ways.
I think that's it right there. And I've been saying this all week. When you get this deep in the tournament, it's about being able to win games in different ways. They can beat you with their bigs. They've got 4 high major starting caliber guys that they can rotate in and out of the game. I think their backcourt trio is as good as there is in the country. And then they play with pace. So they can beat you in different ways, Tim. And that's why I think you and I are aligned that they were our favorite coming into this tournament.
No doubt about it. And their sauce, their recruiting sauce from the guard standpoint, are all mid-major guys that are experienced, that Florida went, you guys are pretty good. Iona, FAU, come on over here. And I think, Hakeem, they're going to be a template for other schools to look at and go, wow, if that guy was really effective at that school, how does he fit in? Because you only have 45 days to build a team with the transfer portal. So you got to find the right pieces. Florida did a fantastic job. They also spent the money. Walter Clayton Jr., he renegotiated after his junior year. He got a bigger deal. Good for him. This guy started his career at Iona. And now, as Hunter said, has morphed into one of the best point guards. I love when he goes right from 3 and shoots off the dribble. It's not easy to do for right-handed players, but these guys are spot on. The guards are what make them so tough.
Yeah, he has one of the purest strokes in all of college basketball. Alex Condon, an impact player for Florida, fully available. He re-aggravated a previous ankle injury against Maryland, so he's ready to go. Injury update for Texas Tech. Chance McMillan is available to play. Their 3rd leading scorer hasn't played in 2 weeks because of an upper body injury. Texas Tech rallied from 16 down against Arkansas to get here. Hunter, the Red Raiders beat you in Kansas by 5 earlier this season. It was a back-and-forth battle. It was at your place. What's the scout on Texas Tech?
Well, getting McMillan back is huge for Texas Tech. I mean, he's one of their best players, and he really makes them even more dangerous, especially from 3. He's one of their best shooters. And I think Texas Tech, what makes them so dangerous is, they really complement each other. Their spacing is great. You got a guy like Darion Williams, who's one of the hardest mismatches in the country, where you really can't put a big guy on him because he's quick enough, and they pick and pop so well to where it's hard for him. And then you can't put a little guy on him because then he's going to go post them up from the 3-point line. And so they really run a lot of good sets, but I think their spacing is the best thing about them.
You guys doubled Darion Williams, right?
Yeah, and it didn't work out too well. They hit 14 threes, and it was tough loss at home.
Yeah, the 14 threes is what I'm going to get to. They're going to have to make shots. They come into this game right now in Big 12 ranked 3rd in percentage, 37% from 3. They rank 2nd in threes made, just in their conference at 10 a game. Have you watched them in the tournament? They couldn't throw it in the ocean from the beach, and that's been a big problem for them. They have not shot the threes well. Now, they shot them well down the stretch, and that's how they got back in this game. They were trailing by as many as 16 points, but they're going to have to be able to spread the floor and make shots. And what does that do? That opens up Darion Williams posting up, J.C. Toppin doing his thing. So if they don't make threes, and they have been putrid in this tournament, game after game, they're going to get run off the floor. In my eyes, they're going to have to be somewhere above right in that range of 40%, and they're going to have to make double-digit threes.
And, Tim, I think that shooting for this team is even more important than it is for some other teams. We saw Michigan State win without having a great shooting night. Texas Tech is not winning tonight without having a good shooting night. This is not Arkansas, with all due respect to the Hogs on the other side of that sideline. They've got to get the ball moving. They've got to make shots. This is a team that typically takes 45% of their field goal attempts from behind the arc. So when we start to talk about shot distribution, you see how important the 3-ball is for them. That's what makes them so hard to double. That's what gives them so much spacing. And if the ball's not going in, the defense can sag in a little bit more. All of a sudden, those driving lanes are not nearly as big.
Get a majority of their points in the paint. Texas Tech looking to earn their 2nd Final Four appearance in school history. So, Hunter, this is the question that they asked Grant McCasland. What has to happen for you guys, for Texas Tech, to win this game?
I mean, Tim said it. They got hit threes. I mean, if they go cold from, three like they did in the first half versus Arkansas, luckily they picked it up, especially down the stretch in the second half. But if they go cold, it's going to be a long night for them. But they have the ability to, like they did versus us, go 14 of, I think it's 42 from three. And if they do that, they got a really good chance against the Gators.
Can I be Grant McCasland?
Yes.
Okay, I'm in the locker room right now. Hey, boys, come in here, okay? This game, house money. We shouldn't even be playing here. We should have lost to Arkansas. We couldn't make a shot. We didn't have our inside game going. JT Top, wait, we're still playing? Let's go out there and have fun. Everybody, all these smart people, the Adams of the world, the Tims of the world, they all have Florida cutting down the nets in San Antonio. No one's picking us in this game. Let's go out there and have fun. I am changing the mentality of this squad. Check out the three-point shooting in the tournament, guys. I mean, that is awful. Even the game they made 13, they still only shot 28%. They shoot 28% in this game. They're going to get run out the floor by Florida. But if I'm Grant McCasland, Adam, I am trying to flip the switch here because they are underdog in this game. No one is picking them in this game. And as an athlete, when you go into a game and everyone's against you, it's us against the world, that's like the best mantra of all time. So I think Texas Tech is going to lose, okay? But I think this is going to be really competitive, and I expect them to come out guns blazing. I expect this to be a very competitive game, and I think they have a slight shot for an upset.
I'll tell you this, guys. I think the precursor to making threes is just getting a better offensive flow. They were stagnant. They were out of rhythm that entire first half against Arkansas and for much of the second half, too. So I think just getting some more movement, getting some more continuity, and getting in the flow. And that's not such a concrete word, but Hunter, Tim, players know what that means. They know what it means to play in the flow and to have a rhythm. Those guys didn't have rhythm all 40 minutes, and they've got to get that in order to make some of those shots we're talking about.
Let me try the pregame message as well. I never coach, but I've always wanted to do this. Guys, get in here. Guys, get in. No, I can do this better than Tim.
Okay, go ahead.
Get in here. Nobody believes in you. Do this for your community, for your mother, your father, your brother, your sister. Do it for Lubbock. We didn't come here to get run out of the gym in San Francisco. We are going from San Francisco to San Antonio. We're not booking a ticket back to Lubbock. Do you understand, men, what you have in front of you tonight? It's a chance to make school history. Get it done. Get it done tonight. I believe in you. Your folks believe in you. The people in Lubbock believe in you. Let's go! Boom!
Forget the miracle on ice. We got the miracle on the hardwood with
Let's
the king.
go. All right, that said for Florida.
Wait, don't you have Florida in your bracket?
Do you remember what I said on Selection Sunday? I don't like Texas Tech. I love Texas Tech. All right, Hunter, so what's the key here for Florida to move on?
Yeah, I think they just got to overwhelm them with their talent. I mean, I believe that Florida's the best team in the country, and I think they're the deepest team in the country, and I think they just got to show that. Don't get complacent. Don't get too cute with things. Just try to be dominant, whether it's on the backboards or the bigger team and with their guards. I think they can really dominate Texas Tech's guards with, all three of their trio. And so I think it's just, don't get too cute with it. Don't get too bored with the basics. Just try to overpower them with your talent.
I want to talk about the defensive end for Texas Tech, for Florida that is, because I think guarding Texas Tech is going to be really important. And specifically, I think Florida has to stay out of long rotations. Everything we've said about what Texas Tech needs to do to win this game is get the ball moving, get spacing, make threes. The way you prevent that if you're Florida is you take accountability to guard your own man, not put yourself in rotations, not allow them to attack closeouts, and then you're in a better situation to have solid defensive possession. So if I'm Todd Golden, my pregame message, although it won't be nearly as inspiring, will be about half-court defense.
I thought it was pretty good.
Thanks.
We were laughing because we've heard some pretty good speeches.
I'm sure.
The guy was obviously
I'm just here to have a good
one
time.
of the greatest college basketball players in this generation.
Have a good
We've heard the pointing. I think we lose that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that lost me a lot.
It did.
Yeah, that's what we started laughing.
He needed a whiteboard to smack or something.
Yeah, I did. I don't have a whiteboard. All I have is this desk. I mean, I'll bang the desk a couple of times. So is this unanimous across the board here? It's Florida. You're picking the Gators. Chomp, chomp.
I expect this game to be within, I don't know, you want to pick a number? 6.
Okay.
I think it's a very competitive game.
Yeah, I think we'll know in the first half. I don't think Texas Tech will be able to play slow like that and try to regain the confidence and come back from a 16-point deficit like they did in the first half. I think we'll know early on what type of game this is going to be. But yeah, I have the Gators going all the way. I do think, hot take, the winner of this game will win it all.
All right.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I got the Gators. I got the Gators winning it all, so I'm on board with that theory. And let me just say this. I think that in this game in particular, Florida, because it's been chalk so far, anything can happen. So we're all picking the Gators, but when you have a 1 versus 3, you don't know who's going to go on a heater. So it's going to be a great game.
How do you feel about calling out a hot take? Are you okay with him saying, I have a hot take? Why don't you just make the take, and then we'll decide how hot it is? Because I think it is hot.
How hot was it?
I think he said Texas Tech, if they win this, they're winning it all. That's pretty hot.
That's pretty hot take.
He's got a hot sauce.
Are you okay with calling your shot with a hot take?
I am in this scenario.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I made it the hot take.
No, you can't self-proclaim a hot take.
See, we're welcoming
other people have to say it's a hot take.
We're welcoming him. Okay? This is his onboarding for media. All right, we're getting him ready to go here. Tip-off just moments away on TBS. The madness is here. Don't miss a moment of the action. CBS, TBS, TNT, and True TV all the way to the Final Four in San Antonio. Download the March Madness Live app to watch every game, anywhere, anytime, live. Coming up, Duke and Alabama clashing for a spot in the Final Four. The Blue Devils have never lost a tournament game in the state of New Jersey.
What?
Will tonight be the night? Next on CBS Sports HQ.
We're hours away from Duke, Alabama, in New Jersey in the East region now. If Cooper Flagg turns up against Alabama tonight the way he did against Arizona, the Blue Devils will likely be making their 18th Final Four appearance, and Flagg showed out against the Wildcats, becoming the first Duke player to put up a stat line of 30 points, 6 boards, 7 dimes, and 3 blocks. Chris Williamson here with you, back with Adam Finkelstein, Hunter Dickinson, and Tim Doyle as the Blue Devils are trying to get to San Antonio. Guys, Flagg is having one of the best freshman seasons we've ever seen. He's averaging 19.7 and 6 in the tourney. And Hunter, you played against him earlier in the season. I know you weren't able to play against him the whole way because you got ejected. But what have you seen? Hey, man, it was the funny thing about that is Cooper started going off when you went out. You remember that?
That is very true.
He had nothing for you. He had nothing for you.
I know. I was watching from the locker room, but something that they were doing that was really interesting was they were doing a lot of ball screens with Flagg and Kneppel, and it was really tough because, you know, are you going to switch it? Are you going to go over it? I mean, you can't go under it with Kahn because he's just going to step behind it and shoot it. And it puts you in a really tough bind because, you know, Cooper Flagg, you know, either he's the 1A or 1B of Player of the Year this year. You know, him in a short roll going against your big is really not what you want. And so they were finding some things that they were doing really well. But in the first half, what we did was we did a really good job in ball screen coverage. You know, we blitzed their guards and really made it difficult for them to turn that corner and kind of see stuff. And I think that's something that Alabama, I think, is going to try to do when they play them to try to get them a little bit off, you know, their balance. Because if you're just letting their guards, you know, get off the ball screen and throw it to Flagg, throw it to Kaman, it's going to be a long night for you.
I think we're going to see a whole lot of inverted ball screens and maybe even more ISOs than we usually see for Cooper, because I don't think Grant Nelson can guard him. So with Alabama playing those two bigs, I think you put them in ball screens, you get Cooper in space, you try and let him get downhill. I think that's going to be an interesting decision-making for Nate Oates. Does that impact his rotation? Do we see more of Jaren Stevenson earlier? That's going to be something interesting to watch here.
Wow, shout out to Ed O'Bannon. Back in the day, he won a national championship at UCLA, played with his brother, Charles O'Bannon, and then he sued the NCAA for...
Shout out. Hey, this is why you're making all that money, and I love it.
Funny story, his son, actually no, Charles O'Bannon's son was the first player to dunk on me. He was a senior at Bishop Gorman, and we were playing them in the Mass Hoop Hall game, and he dunked on me. But it wasn't that bad because he dunked on my senior center like a couple plays later, and he was going to UConn.
Let it all out.
I didn't feel that bad. I was a freshman.
You're in a safe place.
I was a freshman. I got dunked on by McDonald's All-American. It was fine. I wasn't too worried about it.
Yeah, you can hold your head high.
When I watched Cooper Flagg, the comparison, because I saw him in high school, and I thought he was like a little bit more of like an Andre Korolenko because he could block shots, he could rebound, he runs the floor well. Now I'm watching his offensive game develop, and he reminds me so much of a former Duke player, that being Grant Hill. Now, Grant Hill, you think of him now as like the entrepreneur and like he could be like the governor of a state. He's very well put together. You know, he's become a friend of mine. I've worked with him at different networks across the years. But this guy was awesome. How awesome was he? His third year in the NBA, he was in the top 3 for MVP voting. And it was like Michael Jordan and him were like sort of kind of in the same conversation. He had an injury that, you know, set his career kind of on a different path. He still played in the league for a long time. But what made Grant Hill so tough was he could affect the game in so many different ways. Cooper Flagg today could have 12 points and dominate the game because he could have 17 rebounds, he could have 8 assists, could have 4 steals, could have 3 blocks. To me, that's what makes him, you know, a generational talent. I told everyone last year, I told this story, I'll tell it again. After I hosted the high school game, I went right to Indianapolis for the All-Star game. And I was sitting with Shaq and Barkley. And I said, I just watched a Hall of Famer play. And they said, you're only saying that because he's white. And I go, no. I go, this guy is that good. He's actually been better. And I do agree. He's been better than I thought he was going to be in college in his first year.
The two things that he's really shown a lot of progress on, and this is ironic for someone who was hyped up as much as he did, but believe it or not, he wasn't great at creating his own offense. I mean, if it's an E16 grassroots game, sure, he put up 35. But at Montverde, he wasn't as dominant a creator as you would think. So he's made a lot of strides in that area. And the other area is his shooting. There were a lot of questions about his shooting coming into this season, and he was over 40% from 3 in the ACC play. So it's kind of unconventional because if he's shooting off the dribble or on the move, he will really raise up. But if it's a spot-up shot, it's a set shot. So he's got 2 very different releases, but they've been going in.
What's your comparison? I go Grant Hill. How about you?
I was a big proponent of the Kirilenko one early, but offensively, I think his ceiling has now eclipsed that. And, you know, it's going to be – I'm gonna get back to you in the second half.
How about you?
I like that Grant Hill comparison. I haven't thought about that. I think the Kirilenko thing, it's partially true because of the defensive versatility, but I do agree. I think offensively, I think his ceiling's a little bit higher.
I actually think there's like a little Scottie Pippen there, too.
Yeah,
like, could
I was thinking that.
Could be an elite secondary guy and good enough to be a primary on 28 of the 30 teams in the league.
Right, because his defense, he's one of the best defenders in the country. Meanwhile, for Alabama, they own the nation's highest scoring offense, led, of course, by their All-American Mark Sears. They made a tournament record 25 threes against BYU, and y'all know they love to push the pace. Nate Oates right there. Tim, what makes their offensive scheme so special?
Well, when they're making shots, they're impossible to guard. The way they shot the other night, nobody in college basketball was beating them. How hard is that going to be to replicate? Probably next to impossible. I mean, they scored 75 points at them on three-point shots. But this is what they do. Nate Oates, I know he's playing two bigs, and that's a little unusual for him, but he wants to spread the floor. You see the three-point shooting here. They don't have to make 25 to beat Duke, but they can't make 9. They can't make 10. They're going to have to shoot the ball exceptionally well to be competitive in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think we can all agree that if they score 113 again, I think they can win comfortably. But they're, like you said, they're going to have to hit a lot of threes. I mean, that's obviously their offense. Like Adam pointed out, you know, this isn't their best three-point shooting team that they've had under Nate Oates, but that's how they're going to have to win. That's how their, you know, game plan is. That's kind of what their system is, to shoot a lot of threes, to get up and down. And I think that's, you know, they're going to have to be successful in that to win this game.
They've been shooting it better as of late, but it's an interesting dynamic because they are starting two bigs. I was at their first practice of the season in Tuscaloosa, and I said to an assistant coach, I was like, how long before he puts Jaren back in the starting lineup? Because he can't, you know, Nate wants shooting. No, he's letting Grant Nelson shoot, but they were spending so much time on that dynamic between Grant and Cliff Moria. I was like, Nate's not going to roll with this. This isn't going to last. How long? To his credit, he stayed committed to it. They've continued to get better. Their shooting has trended up as the season has gone on. Their defense has trended up as the season has gone on. Guys, I got to be honest. I think they got a decent shot tonight.
They do have a decent shot. Now, they are 83rd in the nation when it comes to three-point percentage, but as you said, they have been trending in the right direction. And 6 of their 8 losses, Hunter, they've shot less than 37% from 3. So what's the biggest key in your eyes for them to getting the victory against Duke?
I think it is the three-point shooting. I think we've all touched on that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, to beat Duke, you're going to have to hit some threes because they're going to score points too. And, I mean, when you're an Alabama team, that's your offense is threes and layups. And so they're going to have to be successful in both of those categories because Duke is so good offensively. But the thing is, they're also great defensively. So you're going to have to get some open looks and get some good quality shots with that because, you know, Mark Sears, he could have shot anything and made it when they played against BYU. But this game, it's really going to have to be with them, with their shooting.
This is the best defensive team John Shire's ever had. They are elite defensively, even though they are young, and a couple reasons for that. One, they've got terrific rim protection. They've got great role players, and they are extremely switchable. So one of the ways in which I think they can get better looks from threes, I think they have to challenge those people in the paint. I think they've got to go right at Malawach. I think they've got to get some points in the paint, either by getting themselves to the free throw line, but they've got to do something to contract that defense and put them in rotations. A lot of people just shy away from Malawach. I think Alabama has got to make it a point. There's no point in playing that lineup with those two bigs if you're not going to attack Duke in the paint. I think they've got to try and take advantage of that size.
And it comes down to Mark Sears.
Yes.
This year has been a disappointing year. There's no other way to say it. He shot 51% last year. This year, 41%. Last year from 3, 44, which is nuts. This year, he's down to 35%. But what he did in the Sweet 16, when you see that Jeff Fryer there, love those Loyola Marymounts. Shout out to Bo Kimball. Carson Edwards had some amazing performances as well. The other people, Golke, we remember that for Oakland against Kentucky. Those other people, I don't know who they are. But
Carson Edwards.
Hey, Sears, I gave Carson Edwards a shout out. I said he had 10 threes. Yeah, the other people, I don't know who they are. Mark Sears has to have an All-American type game. Alabama was my pick, guys, to win the national championship before the season because you knew what you were going to get. Hard to find in college basketball because everyone's making their own sauce. You don't know how the sauce is going to taste. You knew what Alabama's sauce was going to be. Mark Sears, you want to be the next Jalen Brunson? You want that comparison? I know a lot of people throw it out there.
I do.
You got the fire hydrant body. You got the strong. You got the left hand. Go out there and have a big game.
Yeah, he's got to be locked in like he was against BYU. Now, a team that hasn't been locked in during close games, Duke, right? During their 3 L's, of course, one of them to your Jayhawks, Hunter.
When you were kicked out.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yes, that was a fact. That was a fact. But when you look at how they played in close games, what do you think is going to be the biggest key for them to get a victory over Alabama if it does come down to the final possession or two?
Yeah, I think that's one thing. I mean, they had a great record in the ACC. They dominated the ACC. But that's one thing that I think is a problem is because they had so many blowout wins that they didn't have many close games like a Auburn, like a Florida, like a Alabama did. And when you have so many freshmen like that, it can turn into some freshman mistakes, especially in the tournament when the stakes are at its highest. So I'm excited to see, them in a close game. How are the freshmen going to react? I know Cooper Flagg's had some struggles in the clutch at times, but he's also, he's a primetime performer. Everybody has those problems. And I think, when he's just a player of that magnitude, it just gets emphasized. But I'm excited to see how they handle that in this game.
For me, Tyrese Proctor, they finally shut him down. He came in shooting at a crazy level, and they need to get him going. What makes Duke really tough? Well, they have 3 lock lottery picks. Right? Knippel's going to be a lottery pick, Malawat's going to be a lottery pick, and Cooper's going to be the first pick in the draft. But I believe Tyrese Proctor, the way he's been shooting the 3 this year, 41% from 3, but he's shooting 70% in the tournament. He had made 13 threes his first 2 games, but last game, only 1. Because you know what it's like when you go in there, whiteboard is out. Tyrese Proctor, what does the scouting report say?
Shooter, shooter, shooter.
Don't leave him. Like, guy drives, you don't help. You throw like a half a hand, you do this, you don't help. Like, you don't leave that guy. So they got to find a way to get him going, because when he's able to stretch the floor, well, now that opens up the pick and roll with Knippel and Flagg that allows Flagg to kind of roam all over the place. He becomes a huge X factor.
They've got to do a better job of controlling tempo in this one than they did against Arizona. Going into that game, John Shire talked openly about how this was going to be a battle for tempo. They lost the battle for tempo. Arizona got it where they wanted it. The reason they won is because they were just so good offensively. You cannot play at Alabama's pace and hope to beat them. If Arizona is fast, Alabama is ultra fast. So they have got to do a much better job of taking care of the basketball, being deliberate with their possessions, and keeping this away from becoming a track meet.
Exactly, and one of the other things that I think is really important is keeping the turnovers down. They're one of the best teams in protecting the ball, just 5.4 turnovers per game. So that is going to be crucial if they want to get a victory against Alabama. Now, I just want to bring this out, y'all. Do you have any hope or any chance of predicting that Alabama is going to beat Duke, or everybody is in agreement that Duke is going to win this game, Hunter?
I don't think everybody on here is in agreement that Duke's going to win this game, but I think they're the better team. Like Adam said, as long as they don't get in a track meet, I think if it gets into the 90s, the 100s, it's going to get scary for them. But if they keep it in the 70s, the 80s, I think they'll have good odds on this one.
I think this game's going to be close. Yeah. I think it's going to be within, 7 points. I think it's going to be inside that number. I think Alabama is going to be really difficult to guard. Gene Cady told me this, old Purdue coach. Came to my wedding and gave me a cash gift. He also had like extensions because he had a wig and stuff.
Gold table or platinum table?
He was gold. Okay. He told me at my wedding I had different tables. It's not who you play, it's when you play them. Right now, Alabama is like, yeah, let's go right now. Like, sometimes you play a guy. Mark Sears had a game this year against LSU. He had 0 points. It took him a long time to bounce back from that. Right now, he's like this, bring it on. No one can guard me. So I think this is a really dangerous game for Duke. Adam mentioned the tempo. You want to get into all the nerd stats and stuff. If Alabama's able to push pace, they could be in big trouble in this game, dude.
No, they could be in big trouble, but Alabama has not seen a defense to the caliber of Duke when it comes to their length. And listen, again, Duke is 11-0 in the NCAA tournament all time when they play in the state of New Jersey. So either they're going to continue their undefeated streak in New Jersey, or Alabama is going to give them their first ever loss in the state of New Jersey in the NCAA tournament. And coming up, how would Milwaukee Brewers starter Nestor Cortes do in his first time pitching against the Yankees after being traded by the Bombers in December? We'll show you after the break.